Hi there. Welcome to the From Lab to Launch podcast by Qualio, where we share inspiring stories from the people on the front lines of life sciences. Tune in and leave inspired to bring your life-saving products to the world.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of From Lab to Launch. Really glad you're here. If you haven't already, please hop on over to give us a positive review on iTunes or subscribe to the podcast. We'd love to have you following us. In today's episode, Robert sits down with Gene Vought from Cirris Systems, a customer of Qualio. Gene is a quality manager at Cirris and has been with the company for over 25 years. Cirris designs, manufactures worldwide sales, service, and technical support for cable testing equipment for manufacturers of cable assemblies, wire harnesses, custom fixtures, and other interconnection products. Ambition and a desire to serve customers have placed cable testers in the hands of thousands of customers on every continent, even including Antarctica. People all over the world rely on Cirris when they test cables that help drive cars, heal patients, defend soldiers, and even launch satellites into space. Gene has an impressive track record and background, and we're really excited to have the opportunity to speak with him today. I think you'll really enjoy this episode because we talk about his experience in the aerospace industry, his experience at Cirris in the life sciences industry, and his role as a quality manager and how important that is to the success of the company. And also kind of fun, what he enjoys to do outside of work. Hope you enjoy.
I have a lot of things I could ask you about. Some of it will be about your journey to where you are today, a bit about the great work you folks are doing at Cirris. I'm also going to talk about that awesome background you've got going on as somebody who's got this is right next to my desk, but I'm not sure we have all the hours in the day. I could also get your advice on hanging guitars, because if you could see behind my screen, you would see masking tape and post-it notes trying to identify stud locations. So that's a whole other topic.
Awesome.
So I guess to kick off, Gene, I know that you're busy. We don't have as much time as maybe we could use talking about all those topics. Maybe tell us a bit about the work you folks are doing at Cirris and how it's impacting the life sciences industry.
Okay, what we do is we build cable and harness test equipment. Anything that has a cable or a wire, everything from wash machines to aircraft, spacecraft, lots of airplanes. We deal a lot with the military and the aerospace industry. And so we sell them test equipment that test all the wiring and harnesses that goes in to these aircraft and things like that. Miles and miles of wire. And instead of having to take a meter and have a meter on one end of the wire to the other end of the wire to see if it's good or in the correct position where it needs to go, our testers, we plug a cable in, it'll test the other side and tell them if all the wiring is correct before they actually put it on the aircraft. So, if you push a button in the landing gear, you want the landing gear to go down when you push that button and things like that. You don't want something else to happen.
Yes, of course.
Fire off.
So it's interesting you talk about this wide range of customer segments, and I bring this up because we work with a lot of companies who come to Qualio because a significant part of their work can interact across, like we call it, adjacent to life sciences, which pulls people often within the Qualio umbrella. Specifically how, I guess, this does Cirris fit in with that, would you say?
Well, we are AS 9100 certified, which is a aerospace standard that gives us lots of little things that we have to do to make sure that things are safe and that everything's in place. And so that requires a lot of documentation. A lot of procedures are all documented, how to do things, how to do them correctly, that everyone's doing them the same way every time. And we have auditors that come in and audit us to make sure that we have those procedures and processes in place. And they have to be correct. They have to have lots of follow-up. If we make changes to our documentations, we have documented the changes that were made.
Yeah.
That's where Qualio comes in, is that before it was very difficult. We had homegrown software, and when we make a change, someone had to make sure they remember to mark it down on the book or something that we made a change, what the changes were. And when you have lots of people in there making changes, it doesn't always happen. And so we used to get caught a lot of times that they're in trouble that not all of the updates revs were changed incorrectly into dates and everything. So Qualio just does that all for me. I mean, that just saves me so much time that I don't even think about it anymore. It just happens. I make changes, and I can't make a mistake now, because if I just change it one word, it documents it. And our auditors come in, they look at it, they're just happy. They see this audit trail of all the changes that have ever been made, and all the revs automatically get updated. And it's such a headache that's gone off of my shoulders.
Well, that is high praise indeed, Gene. I appreciate you sharing that. Something you mentioned that people often aren't aware of, I would think, is without having technology to handle, automate, streamline, and connect all these disparate parts of the business, you mentioned putting something down on a book. The reality isn't very far from that in a lot of companies that we work with. So really happy that we've been able to impact that a little bit. I'm curious as well from some of the work you folks do. I think there's some new updates with the company over the past few months also. It's been an exciting period.
Yeah, we've grown from this little company that was started in a garage. Again, you've heard that story probably many times.
Of course.
Our founder had grown it from a garage business for a need that he found that the company he needed. He came up with an idea which took off. And it's been 35 years that since he did that. And we have grown, and a larger company has purchased us that fits in with their scheme and realm. We kind of fit this niche, and it makes a bigger company out of us where we have lots of more avenues to go through. And these other companies we work with don't have the quality system that we do, and Qualio is a key part of that. And they look at our system, and we're just light years away from them, and they are excited about getting on board as well. And so there's lots of future growth with us and Qualio to get these other companies that we're in partnership with now in the documentation side.
Thank you very much for flying the flag. And it's funny you mentioned that. It's actually, you always think bigger companies, more established companies are, they're bigger because they're just more advanced and have all these resources. But time and time again, we speak with people, and it's a story of, they looked at us and we're just way ahead. And now we're building things out. So I hope that's going to be an interesting project for you. And we're of course always on standby to help out any way we possibly can. Gene, your career, you've been you said the company Cirris is 35-ish years old.
I've been there
26 years. So
35. So
yeah, and you've been in quality roles most of that time.
Actually, I started there as a repair serviceman. I started repairing the equipment. I worked at another company. It was broadcast television systems. So I built television studios. And at that time, we used their equipment to check out ours. And so it was kind of a thing that they recruited me to come over and work for them. I worked there for just a year in repair, and then was in sales for about 3 years. My liking is more hands-on type of job. So I went into the manufacturing engineering realm there and started to work there, where documentation was important, and a lot of the documentation was a side job for me. And so when our quality manager retired back then, I just kind of stepped in and kind of took it over as well. It was kind of 15% of my job, and it just started to grow and became full-time quality at just a few years ago. And so
it's an interesting path in. By just a few years, looks like over 12 years, but maybe just a few years. But because that's not even half of your time at Cirris.
Yeah.
So a long story leading up to that. I'm curious, coming into that role like that, what would you have seen just for the other people working in quality roles and such a consistent set of challenges, no matter which little sub-vertical or part of the industry that needs to operate clearly and deliver on the promise of quality? What would you say were the top challenges facing when you started that role, if you can remember?
Well, there's so many homegrown programs that we had. We've got corrective action, quality improvement, continuous improvement programs, and all this has to be documented. And we had separate programs for everything. I mean, we had ECO, engineering change orders, things like that. And so all of this was going all separately, all these little programs separately. And then when we got Qualio, I was able to take all of those and make one place where everybody could go to find all of our documentation. It all came into one place, and all these little tiny systems for people to micromanage all of these things, and they didn't interface with each other. Now, my manager or a president of the company can go up, click on Qualio, look at the dashboard. He can see what's going on. He can see what processes or procedures that are out there that are being changed, which ones he needs to review and approve. It's all in one place. It just makes everyone's life so much more simpler. It's just
Thanks.
been great.
Kind of leading on from that, Gene, try to kind of understand the journey a little bit more, because it's interesting. I always think to drill in there before and maybe during Qualio, after Qualio, back over the time. Any major lessons learned? Because you just mentioned one thing I think which is useful, which is in the quality arena that we see people have too many systems. We call it it's like a classic, what I call like data fragmentation problem, where every small slice can be managed just fine the way it's designed, but the challenge becomes there is, like, we call these 12 pillars of quality. There's at least these 12 pillar jobs to be done that kind of live across the organization. And the quality role is really to be this integrator across the company and to have this oversight of what's going on. And everybody adds a tool, adds a spreadsheet, adds something else. It becomes impossible. So I heard that loud and clear. Anything else major that would have jumped out at you as one of the challenges of trying to operate in the last decade, I guess, as a quality leader?
Yeah, it's we get audited by some of our customers as well. They'll come in and do an audit. Of course, they're trying to figure out what we're doing, and
yes.
That could take them quite a while just to try to get their mind wrapped around all the different programs that we've got to have to show them. With Qualio now that I bring them in and sit down, I can print out a uncontrolled copy for them. They can take with them. I can do it over, Teams, and we use Teams a lot, Microsoft Teams, and we can do audits now. That even with COVID, they don't even have to come in. I can email them copies before. We used to have to go to the copy machine, make out these copies, stamp them, so they're uncontrolled, and get in the copy machine and email them over to them. And it was quite a chore just to do an audit. We're being audited here just in a couple of weeks by a medical company, BioSense Webster. We're doing it all over on the line, and Qualio is just going to make my job so much easier because it's just all right there. Like I said before, it's all in one place. I can export a copy of a procedure and shoot it right off to him, and he can get it there in just seconds and look it over. Done deal. I can show him everything all at once. It's just really nice. It makes my life way easier. I can't express that more than I can't other words than that. But the nightmare, I guess, is what I had before with all of the documentation and where it was, and hopefully that those people were taking care of it. I have it right there in front of me. I can audit anything at any time I want to, and make sure things are being done correctly. And it's just the audit trail, like you say, I can't make a mistake as far as making a change and forgetting to mark it down. It's all there, always there. And that's been half of my battle in most of the audits that I've had is documentation that didn't get fixed, that somebody didn't change something that didn't get taken care of. Now it's so easy. Everybody can log on, make the changes. It's documented. I can look in and see, they made a change there. We get the review and approvals. Before, it could take weeks for me to get somebody to finally review something. They can look up on the dashboard, see that they have to review a procedure, take a few minutes, have it all done in the morning, and now it takes days instead of months to get something approved through the system.
Well,
it saves
makes
a lot
my
of time.
Day to hear that, Gene. I appreciate it. Now, before we kind of finish up here, I need to call out the beautiful items hanging on the wall behind you, and also comment that I did check out your website earlier today before our call. So maybe tell us a bit about, outside of work, you've an interesting career in music. Tell me a bit about that.
Oh yeah, I've played in bands since I was probably 14, up until probably been maybe 10 years ago. I stopped playing in band. I got tired of hauling equipment everywhere and all over the place. So I kind of have a recording studio at home, and that's where my office is at as well. So I need a break. I can grab a guitar off the wall and play a little bit, and everything's computerized now. I can record. I have a website that I keep all of my music. I've probably recorded over 400 songs now. Most of them are just, remakes of other people's stuff that I've done, but I do all the drums, the the bass guitar, all the synthesizer does all the strings and all the stuff. I can put together the whole song by myself. And so it's just that way. If one of the singers isn't quite singing right, I just delete him, you know. You don't have to fire the guy. You just delete him and sing it over. And it's all me, so I don't have to worry. I can sing back.
Yeah, you can't fire yourself with that.
So
that's awesome. Were you still like playing music live before COVID, just in a small scale, or is it just all about that?
We had a band room at the company, and we had extra space there, and so they let us have a whole big office there. It was a big room, and we had our band set up there. We could go play during lunch hours, and we've always played at Christmas parties and stuff like that. So kept us busy that way. If we'd stay after work and practice and play, you know. So had a group of us there but since COVID, we haven't been able to get into building to do that kind of stuff. But
of course,
hopefully down in the future, you know, it won't be too long. We can get back together and play around a little bit.
Have you figured out how to do this remotely?
We have been able to share pieces we have the program with a Mac computer. It's called Logic Pro. And I can do my pieces. I can send them off to somebody. If they have Logic Pro, they can do their part, send it back to me, and we can play around like that. But we haven't played live together yet. We haven't got that good yet.
Latency is still a challenge. You know, Qualio, we're a globally remote company, so I know we have. I'm certain we have at least one full band and a couple of additional members fill out some rarer instruments across the team, but we haven't figured out how to get together yet and play. So it's in future we'll figure that out.
It won't be long. Things are getting faster and faster, so
they are.
It won't be long.
Gene, I'm curious, just before you finish up, is there anything for people who are listening who are maybe early in their quality career or thinking about maybe making a switch or pursuing a career in quality? Is there any kind of advice you might have for them worth sharing?
Boy, you know, quality is one of those, you're almost a standalone person in the company at times. And so you have to be pretty hard-shelled and persistent. And I guess the thing I always remember is that I'm representing the customer. And I'm on the lookout for things that make sure our company are doing things that if I was doing business with a company, I'd want them to be doing as well. And so quality can be a very important part of a company's, the quality that they put out. But if you don't have somebody in the background forcing things and keeping things going, it doesn't take long for a company to fall apart without someone taking care of all of the documentation and procedures. It's not a fun job all the time, but it's very, very needed. And boy, if you go a few months without somebody keeping things up to date, you feel it really quickly, and your company can suffer. Again, that reflects back to your customer as well. And if you're keeping up your quality end of it, you're taking care of your customer, watching out for them. It keeps that customer-minded perception for your employees as well. That you're here, you're not just making a product, but you are making a service for someone that's going to be taking your product. And sometimes lives are at risk, you know, especially with the aerospace. There's no gas station between here and the moon or here and Mars. You know, they can't stop up and fix a flat on the way. It's got to work. It's got to work 100% when they launch off. And so we take pride in being able to accomplish that and help other people do their jobs as well.
That's beautifully said, Gene. Thank you so much. I think we're pretty much at the end of our allotted time. So I'll just say, really excited to have you folks as a customer. Thanks for trusting us with the important data and information you do. We're excited about this new chapter in the company's kind of journey, and I'm going to be spending more time listening to some tracks on your website later on this evening.
Great.
So,
great to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay safe, and please keep in touch, Gene.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of From Lab to Launch, brought to you by Qualio. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and give the show a positive review. It really helps us out. For more information about Qualio, our guest today, or to be a guest on a future episode, please refer to the show notes. Until next time.